All right, so if you've just tuned in, let's take a look at what we can expect today. So the funeral of Pope Francis takes place in Rome today, and following the funeral, his coffin will be taken in a procession to the Basilica of St. Mary Major, of course, where he will be interred. Now, the procession route, it's set to take approximately half an hour, will pass through several historic Roman landmarks, including the Colosseum. Last night, the coffin of Pope Francis was sealed after thousands of faithfuls visited on the final day of viewing, known in the church, of course, as the rite of the closing of the coffin of the Roman pontiff. The sealing ceremony was held by Archbishop Diego Ravelli and Cardinal Kevin Farrell in St. Peter's Basilica. More than 100,000 mourners filed into St. Peter's Basilica just yesterday to pay their respects to Pope Francis, viewing his open coffin in the final visiting hours. All right, so we continue with our rolling coverage now. So starting things off, for more on what to expect today, really how proceedings are also going to be unfolding, we cross to our SABC News correspondent, John Bevir, who of course is live in Rome. John, a very good morning. On a somber note, of course, as we reflect on the life and times since the Pope's passing, we're obviously also optimistic given the impact that he's had. And perhaps before we delve into that, you could set the tone, the mood, paint the picture really as to what is happening on your end. What's the mood and atmosphere like? We're obviously building up to that solemn Requiem Mass that's set to take place at 10 a.m. today.
Yeah, it's a very solemn and sombre mood, as you might expect, with a funeral like this. But there is also a sense of togetherness and community as well. When I've been talking to people who've arrived here from all over the globe, they are arriving here to find lots of other people like them, lots of like-minded people, many of them Catholic, some not, though, interestingly, as well, some who just want to be here for the sense of occasion as well. And then mixed in with all of that, we have the regular holiday makers who just happen to be here at this time and now find themselves here at what is quite an historic moment. So it really is very interesting in terms of the mix of people who are here. Even yesterday afternoon, I saw people walking towards the Vatican holding sleeping bags and pillows in order to sleep on the street, to be able to guarantee that they would get to somewhere close to the front of the crowd when it comes to the funeral itself. Estimates vary wildly, but best guesses are there could be 200 to 250,000 people trying to catch a glimpse of the funeral. Now, obviously, not that many people can fit inside St. Peter's Square, so the main street that runs off that has been lined with large TV screens so that people will be able to watch. So it really is this sense of togetherness as people come here to pay their last respects to Pope Francis, a Pope who many people referred to as the People's Pope. And obviously, as we've talked about over the past week, he was a Pope from the Southern Hemisphere, and really that has helped spread the word of the Catholic Church in that part of the world. And he was a Pope who very much fought for the rights of people in the global south, talking about poverty and inequality. So all of these things coming together mean that there is a large crowd here, and that crowd has been growing over the week up until the culmination of today.
Well, John, speaking of unity, I mean, he's managing to unite the world even in death. And you're speaking about the Southern Hemisphere, which, of course, he was born into. President Lula da Silva from Brazil, who represents the world's largest Catholic population, will be in attendance. Perhaps you could also tell us who else, in terms of world leaders, are set to descend and attend his funeral today.
Yeah, the Vatican has said they believe there will be 50 heads of state and 10 reigning monarchs, just to give you a sense of the scale of this. And then, of course, on top of that, we have church leaders and spiritual leaders and religious figures from around the world as well who will be coming. So there will be a huge array of people here. But yes, it really is a global who's who when it comes to world leaders. We saw US President Donald Trump arrive late last night, local time, with his wife, the First Lady Melania Trump. We have seen, as you say, leaders from Brazil and France and the UK and everywhere in between, really, all coming here. Interestingly, some have very different feelings on what today holds. French President Emmanuel Macron said that today was purely about the funeral, that there would be no sort of sidebar meetings with anybody else. He was here just to pay his respects. Whereas US President Donald Trump said to camera on, I think it was Thursday night in the Oval Office, said that everybody wanted to meet him, to talk to him about things not related to the Pope, so to talk about trade deals or whatever else it might be. So some treating this as almost a diplomatic moment as well as a funeral. But yes, it's an interesting way that we will see this happen. But what we are going to see is all these world leaders in one place who normally would never all be in the same place. So this is the scale of this global event, bringing together these leaders.
Security must also be tight, just as we wrap up very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Security is incredibly tight, as you would imagine. There were police helicopters flying around until late last night. There are snipers on rooftops. It really is a very tight security operation, as you would think for something of this size and with this many world leaders. And that will only get tighter in the coming hours as the world leaders make their way to St. Peter's Square for the funeral.
All right, John Bevir, thank you very much for that update. Of course, we will be monitoring as the processions continue. Thank you for joining us at this hour and for painting that picture as we edge closer to that solemn requiem mass that's set to take place for late Pope Francis, of course, where his funeral will happen, and of course he'll be laid to rest. So let's leave that conversation there with John. You can see live visuals there on your screen just outside the Vatican.